It is May,
Oh,
and
it's hit that up again. Carry on.
all right.
I'll just fiddle in the background.
Well, Dave chokes and random fucks about, and Sparkle's dealing with a messy desktop. We're rolling into the May 2026 top 10. No, news. We're doing the news. That's right. Not the top 10. We did that the other day. So we got the boys with me. We got UK is out on assignment doing some kind of thing. We got random here. We got Sparkle. And we got me, and we're doing the live news for you. So I'll just roll into kind of what I've been up to. Movies and TVs, as always, there's shockingly little out there because nothing good is really being produced in general. However, I did see two movies I've been waiting on, and one of them was Hail Mary, which I watched it, and I kind of had the interstellar effect where it was a pretty good movie up until the last 20 minutes. I'm like, what the hell happened? Then I had to go back and watch it again a couple days later to kind of really, oh, that's what they were trying to do. Okay, I get you. It was okay. It wasn't the most amazing movie ever made, but it was okay. I'm thinking maybe in the future they'll do probably a follow on to it. I would guess somehow. They it seems like a goose they can't resist getting a few more eggs from. So I got a Maine Coon walking across the front here. All right, he's headed to his basket. Yeah. Other than that, there's just not been a lot coming along. Game wise, PlayStation, whatever you call that, the thing you have to sign up to, Plus, yeah, that you have to sign up to so online games work in your console that's connected to the internet. Dropped another turkey of three unplayable garbage games, and there's nothing really new on the market. So that's been a bitter disappointment. Basically, the whole scene is just a bitter disappointment in the movie games world. It's kind of shocking. So, been up to a lot of cool things though. Project wise, been working on some things for Hardware Flashback, and on Tuesday, I'm headed over to the System Source Museum in Maryland. They're basically north of Baltimore, kind of. They're not in the city proper. It's kind of out in a smaller town, and they're really a cool museum. There's kind of one in the UK that's very comparable that Mike and I went to, and it's up near Camborne, and I cannot remember the name of it. But Randa, do you remember the name of that museum up near Camborne?
Uh, there's
They
the
have,
Cambridge Computing History Museum.
okay, that might be it. They have the macro processor displayed.
I can't remember.
Uh, So these guys, that what they did is, you've all, what a microprocessor was. The goal was to shrink a processor down to a single, silicon wafer, and they did. Well, the idea of the macro processor was to go the other way. So they took a very simple CPU design and then executed it out of individual transistors, individual LEDs, individual diodes, and they built this little computer, and it takes up an entire room. Now, why to say an entire room? It goes around the edge of the room on these, like those rolling chalkboards they used to have in school where they'd roll it in and and write on it. So basically, each one of those is a panel that's a component of the computer. So this stretches around the entire room, and you end up with this macro processor. So anyway, the Cambridge Computer Museum, if you're in England, that you'll know what that is. Um, it is the System Source Museum. It's kind of that times about 10. It's the exact same idea, very comparable stuff on display. They just have so much more of it. It's just more, I guess, to draw from there. So, the oh god, what was it? There's a guy, Usagi Electric. He does a whole series on YouTube, a pretty good YouTuber, where he's been restoring a Bendix G51 or G15, and he's got a PDP that he did the restoration with the floating point edition that basically turned a pretty humble PDP into a supercomputer. So that computer was owned by that museum, and he did the restoration. Then it went back to the museum, and now it's on display there. But should be a lot of cool things on display. And I'm going up there because we're going to be doing a little consulting for them on their computer space that they acquired. So I'm going to take a look at it and talk with them about what some of their options are. And they want to get some information on how to curate it, like how are we gonna put this thing on display for the public to interact with? So all I can tell you guys, I mean, sort of my pitch to them that we discussed some of the preliminaries of, and they seemed thank God that's a T on his cup. Anyway, we seemed like pretty much in agreement. They thought that was a pretty good idea. When your hand uncovered it, was like, oh, thank God. We ought to censor that bit. Anyway, when we talked about preliminary, they seem to be kind of an agreement. We're just going to flesh out how they can do it. But what we're thinking is, thanks to Stefan Berger and a couple other people's work, we're going to get them set up so that they can display the two-player computer space. We're going to remove the card set from it and put that in like a glass box. So they're going to do the work. We're just sort of describing to them how they can best show all sides of it, and then they're gonna go with that, whatever they take from that. So we're having a discussion. It's their display. They're doing the work. So just to be clear on that. But so what they're going to do is probably put it in a plastic box, similar to like what you would put a standard Coleco Chameleon in at a toy fair. And that way people can see the boards and, see what went into making this. Then thanks to the work by Stefan and others, we're going to, see about getting them set up with a replica board set. And then that way they can have, that installed inside the two-player cabinet. This is a one-player board set, but that's fine because all they need to do is demo it. So the whole idea is, we'll have them set up with a joystick on the control panel, the buttons, wired over to the one-player board with a, when I say modern, it'll be some sort of CRT, a modern CRT monitor installed inside that cabinet. That way they can, they have a guest come in and they want to show them computer space. They turn it on. They're running on non-original hardware, modern one-player board replica that is, they can afford to turn on a lot and not have to worry about original hardware. And then your original hardware is fully, in a great condition, fully preserved, available for public view. So I thought that'd be a pretty neat way to do that. But we're gonna, like I said, I'm gonna take a look at what they have, and I'll take a couple pictures while I'm there and give you guys a report from the system source. And I think it'll be a pretty good time. So that's kind of all I got. Just been working on bikes. I got my favorite motorcycle out for the year. It's a air-cooled Buell, which is a sport bike with a Harley Davidson motor in it. It's just ridiculous. It's this enormous motor with this small bike that just the ratio of motor to bike could not be greater. So I just did the clutch, the what else? As a new starter, new clutch, just higher capacity items that can stand up to the the higher output of the engine. The stock starter was struggling with pronunciation, and I had to put in a higher torque one, and the clutch was you had enough power with the motor with the upgrades you could push through the clutch, so I had to put in a higher performance clutch and just a lot of other little things that it needed. So all those are pretty much done. I'm waiting on one gasket so I can put the side of the motor back on. And then it'll be ready to go for the season. I'll be out there riding that. So absolute favorite bike in the world. Look forward to it. Who's up next? What do you got?
I can go. Yeah, again, not a lot of retro gaming. Was in Scotland I guess it was the end of last month now. Seems like not that long ago, but yeah, that was a nice, good fun. We took the Alpha for most of the way. We met up just inside Scotland, so I didn't have to drive too far. Well, I still drove a fucking long way the first day, but then had a night midway. And then,
how far was it? How long was your first day?
I mean,
an hour, maybe two.
6.5 hours, I think I drove the first day.
That's a fair road trip for the UK.
Yeah, not too bad. And then it was about 5 hours then from there the next day to get to the complete arse end of nowhere. Some amazing roads though, just single track roads carved into the side of mountains, like looking over the coastal lochs and stuff. It's yeah, pretty epic. One of my mates got pretty scared with the roller coaster nature of it, but Yeah, it was good fun. And then, well, I did it all in a one shot on the way home. And it was, I think it was 9.5 hours driving. It was 12 hours door to door from where we'd stayed to, so we had to walk back to the car to then, well, get back to his car, swap a load of gear over, and then get the rest of the way. So, yeah, it didn't seem too bad. And then, yeah, I've been having to build some emergency dog stairs so he can get on and off the bed properly because the stool he was using, he fell off it and didn't like it. So I was just making use of the wood that I see. People think I'm hoarding spare bits of wood, but they're coming in use. So and I've sort of carried on a bit of that cobbling together shit. When last weekend made a hammock
No,
stand out
when you were accused of hoarding wood, that was a completely different context.
Exactly. Yeah, I sort of took a leaf out of AD's book and I used a pallet and then a couple of rescued decking boards that one of the neighbours were throwing out to make a hammock stand. So I've been enjoying that in the nice hot weather we've got. And then yeah, well, sort of news in sort of retro gaming. And what I'm sort of waiting for to sort of get back into some more retro gaming is I ordered a Superstation, which is the PlayStation, PS1 styled like Mr. clone. Ordered that back in maybe January, I think, on a whim, and that's actually now on its way. So hopefully I'll have that soon. And yeah, definitely faster than turnaround than Kickstarter spoons. So that's all good. And then yeah, gaming wise, I played through Alan Wake 2, started Death Stranding 2, been a bit sidetracked from that with Forza Horizon 6, which I thought I'd only end up sort of dipping in and out playing with friends, but my mate gave me an early access code, so I thought rather than wasting his kind generosity, I'd actually play it in the early access period, and then that sort of worked out quite well for that weekend, just sort of chilling out and just driving around and racing and collecting shit. It's kind of really getting into that. I don't know if it's the Japanese theming that's made it a bit more a bit more appealing to me than before. I mean, it's much of the same same shit that you get from Forza Horizon, but it's done well, and there's a lot of like emphasis on sort of Japanese cars and Japanese sort of race events and car culture, so pretty good. And then in terms of what I've been watching, we've been going through Falling Skies, nearly at the end of that, which I think Mike said he watched recently. It's nothing spectacular, but it's kind of good put on while you're eating your dinner, sort of entertainment. We did watch Shogun before that. That's very well done. That's very good. Very much enjoyed that. And watched the Super Mario Galaxy movie when that came to the back of the internet trucks. That was maybe better than the first film. I've tried to watch the first one twice and I've fallen asleep both times. This one, I think I was about to nod off, but didn't. But it's weird. It just seemed to have no connective tissue through it. It was just seemed to be like
I felt like I was watching a collection of cutscenes.
Yeah, it's just like here's one scene and with one set of characters, and then we go to this other scene, and then so you missed like the transitional periods of how people are getting from place to place. So it's just jumping around all over the place, and you're like, what? I don't know what's going on. It's just vignettes of content. It's very strange. So yeah, maybe slightly better than the first one, but still not great. And I didn't go to Zap live last week. I think it was last weekend, maybe the weekend before, with a lot of the boys over here. But Mike wanted me to say, anyone who hasn't checked it out, you should watch the panel he hosted with Jeff Minter and Simon Pick. It was Simon Pick's first panel, and he was all very smart, and he had a shirt and a nice jumper on and a smart pair of jeans and his bottle of water. Jeff Minter was several beers and Jamaican Woodbines into the weekend. Didn't realise he had a panel until about half an hour before, even though Mike had been preparing for about 2 weeks. and it's pretty hilarious, the contrast between the two of them. Yeah, it's quality watch. So I'm sure Mike will put it in the show notes. But if you can't wait for that, yeah, just don't want to look them out. Just you'll be able to find it on the YouTube somewhere. Yeah, Jeff Minter and Simon Pick, fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's just-
Falling Skies, dude, what do you think? Like, how are you almost at the ending, or what?
yeah, we're definitely like halfway through the final season, if not further. It's fine. It's kind of like a lot of the same sort of patterns of like you got from like The Walking Dead and stuff like that, in terms of like, obviously the theming's different, but like the sort of the structure of like, they're going along and there's sort of this friend, but there's some that like betray them, and then they meet another little pocket of civilization, and they meet some people who are a bit weird, like this is weird, like not quite to the same sort of cannibalistic situation
Yeah.
in The Walking Dead, but like, there's always this like, these people, they've got an ulterior motive, things aren't quite right in their utopia that they've built and things, and but yeah, and it's and there's a lot of sort of like, like they sort of skip over a bunch of stuff that would be difficult to do, which is fair enough. But yeah, and it's like I say, it's not like the best TV out there, but it's definitely watchable, and we've just came through it. So yeah, it's been good, but we're kind of like, yeah, looking forward to the end of it, I think, now, and moving on to something else. Maybe because we have just done all 5 series back to back.
Well, I want to hear your reflections on the ending, because for me, and it's been 15 years, we can talk about it. The ending is basically the feeling I got was that the writers were sitting there at a table. I had a kid going to college this year, and they're gonna fucking end this season 3 years early. I gotta fucking go out and fuck these people. I'm crashing this shit. And they just literally wrote a whole like that's what we think of you cutting the show. I mean, that was the reaction I got. That it was a giant fuck you, not like so much to out of the viewers, but like, oh, you want a fucking wrapped up ending? There it is. Okay, that's your fucking budget. We're out of here. We gotta go find jobs. And that's how I kind of felt about it. But it is. It is. I mean, it's a great sci-fi series. I mean, it was the things I liked about it was in all this stuff. Like one of the tropes. I mean, it did, as you very correctly stated, it did follow certain traditional tropes of these, wasteland survival shows. But what I think they did really well, though, is the aliens weren't. There was no plucky F-18 pilot that fended off the alien invasion. They came and they knocked the shit out of the planet,
yeah.
And then at the same time, they weren't magic. They had finite resources. Their technology was tough, but not, magic. And I think they did a really good job with that. Especially the way they would like normally in an alien invasion series. The first thing I'm thinking is like, okay, it's an alien invasion series. Where are the fucking aliens? Because it's been 80% of season 1. We haven't seen nary an alien yet. And I think that the pacing that they revealed this stuff to you was actually brilliantly done. Like, you actually got down to the end of the first season before you had that scene on the rooftop, where they had the camera and they were taking a picture of the actual prime alien. And you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. These retarded bugs didn't fly across the galaxy. These dudes did. Yeah. And then you start to think, okay, there's some cool stuff going on here. So
it's quite fun, the first time, I think that was at the end of a season when, the guy, the Volm first arrive, and this
that was a really good addition.
Guy like comes out of the ship, and then you're like, well, he's not just shooting the humans, so it must be good or something. And then it's and it sort of ended, and it kind of sucked to have to wait a year, but obviously we had to wait about half a day,
10 minutes
to carry on. Yeah.
Now the cool thing though was when they did that landing sequence, and you see like the landing pods, the Volm coming and everything, and you're like, because they've been throwing so many new weapons and systems at you, there was a tremendous amount of creative imagination in showing you the different weapons and alien technologies. And for a TV show, that was movie level stuff at the time. So, the Vaughn come landing, and the only thing missing was when the guy pops out of the fucking capsule. Oh, like the only thing he should have had a superhero cape. That was the only thing missing. But just absolute beautiful series, man. I hope you're enjoying it. And yeah, that ending, oof, that's a rough one.
Well, most shows are though. They're always like they either run out of steam or they get cut early, so they either have to wrap up very quickly, or there's spite
Yeah.
involved in like you motherfuckers. Like
I think it was 2 out of 3 of those things.
Dark Ghost in chat is saying what series? It's Falling Skies. You missed the start of the discussion. So
Tremendous alien invasion series, done about 15 years ago. Really, really, really well done. Has some shortcomings, but it's okay.
Never saw it.
You should watch it.
Man, I don't know. I've never been like a huge binger, but just to dive into kind of my monthly update. Daughter's volleyball season's starting to wind down a bit. I've been playing 2-3 days a week, which means I've kind of entered that magical bracket where you don't really recover. You're just kind of collecting soreness like a hobby, and my legs are all like scraped up, bruised up. I got strawberries on both knees permanently. But I'm having a good time. I mean, everything hurts, whatever. Like I actually go to see a specialist next Friday about my hip. Like I think I kind of fucked that up or something, but just having a good time, man. Like mid 40s now, and just trying to be active and stuff, and hang out with people. Met a lot of good people over the last like 2 years that I've been playing. Gaming wise, it's been a mixed bag. Doing a second run on Breath of the Wild with my daughter, which is still kind of an all-time great like hang out and explore game. Just really enjoy like going down, hanging out in the basement. We got like 2 different kind of like those Mies van der Rohe couches down there, and like we each kind of set up on one and have kind of our snacks and drinks there, and kind of pass the controller back and forth, and just kind of really enjoy playing through it, and maybe yelling at each other a little bit, but just the puzzles and everything. And she kind of has an interesting take. So she was too young really to play Breath of the Wild. She kind of watched me play it when that came out, God, almost 10 years ago. And then we did what's the next one?
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah,
Tears of the King.
The Wild 2.
we did that one together, and she actually enjoys Breath of the Wild more, which is kind of an interesting take, because I think the second one's better, and she likes it because she has the teleport horse armor, and she's like, hey, I don't have to like worry about where my horse is. I can just kind of call it anywhere on the map. She feels like the puzzles and sort of the gameplay and the storyline is more intentional, which is kind of a cool take for a 14-year-old, like putting myself back in 8th grade or whatever. It's interesting just to see that she likes that, because it doesn't have the top and the bottom. She kind of feels like that part of the game is kind of throwaway or whatever. She likes the Ryoto airlift thing a little better and stuff like that you don't have in the second one. So just kind of an interesting take. But anyway, on the handheld, I've been playing Raiden. Man, that game is hard in a way that I just feel like it's judging me personally. I cannot get as far as I used to in some of these old classic games. I don't know what's going on. I fired up Strider on the handheld as well, and I have that on the TurboGrafx 16, which I don't ever remember playing on TurboGrafx. Random, did you play it on Turbo?
Not on Turbo. Is it the same as, because Strider NES and Strider Genesis are completely different, aren't they? Is it?
Yeah, it's more like the Genesis version, but it feels more fluid. And I don't know if I just have like some weird ROM or something, but that game still rules. It's the Genesis version was always superior to the NES version, in my opinion. It's been a lot of fun. Tried getting back into Rondo of Blood. It's just not clicking, man. I'm just getting to the point where I'm wondering if I'm starting to lose some of that hand-eye coordination, or turning some kind of guy that wants to win without sweating or something. But like Rondo of Blood, man, it's a tough game. And then I also like just sometimes like to hit the shoulder buttons and it'll like hyper scroll through like your list of ROMs and everything. And I land on something called Hyper Sports Special, which is like some kind of crazy Konami Olympic game.
Like Track
And
and
you start
Field,
off,
but
you do
is
what's
it the
that?
sequel to Track and Field that they did?
Yeah,
Or...
I think it is. Like the guys have a little bit like bigger kind of bobblehead kind of thing to them. Um, Hyper Sports Special, but man, and I'll sit there and I'll hammer on that button as fast as I can, and I still feel like, you know, it's like the pixel equivalent of like leg power of a hamster. You're just like, "Wee," like I can't. I'm mashing it like I'm sweating, man. Like my head is sweating, and I still can't like beat some of these guys. I don't know. It's either like there's something up with the ROM or I'm just embarrassing at this point. I don't know what's going on. I can't seem to like always crush it in the dash, and I'm like, man, I feel like I can really hammer a button fast. So I don't know what's going on. I might just give up on that one. As far as newer stuff, been playing Fallout 4 on the PC. Kind of went back to that one. Played it originally on, I don't know, PS3 or something like that back in the day, and got a copy on the PC. And I'll be honest, I've been cheating. Uh, I've been going in there with the little like hit tilde on the keyboard and like just type in, player add item, like look up some code, and got myself a spray and pray and a bunch of fat boys and stuff like that, and tons of bottle caps. I mean, I already played through the game honestly once, but it's just kind of fun to kind of go back through and I need some flame ammo. Cool, I'll add it and just like kill these mirror cooks or whatever they are, like the crab monsters and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm kind of wandering around like a bit of an armored god, but it's fun. Like I'm just kind of enjoying it. It's just kind of like low level, um, fun time kind of thing. Outside of gaming, I continue to build some everyday carry kits. I want to throw this website out, which I think is a great resource for people if you want to pick up some good deals on tools and stuff like that. It's called struggleville.com. Um, Man, you can check it daily. He always like posts up whatever, it's 50% off on Amazon and stuff like that. I would highly recommend struggleville.com. Go there. Sometimes if you haven't done coupons on Amazon, you have to know, like you click it, and then when you go to your payment at checkout, you have to hit add coupon code. So there is a little bit of an extra step and everything, but I can get some like really insane deals sometimes. So just really kind of build out my tools and ECD kits and stuff like that. The garden is booming right now. Already pulled out a full harvest of red ladyfinger radishes. Makes me feel like maybe I should toss on some overalls and judge other people's soil quality or something like that. I mean, I got tomatoes and cantaloupes and stuff. Everything's like taking off, and I think it's been a little bit cooler here in the southeastern United States than normal. We just got a big rain, so everything's looking great. So hoping to have a pretty big tomato, cucumber, radish. I've had so much kale and everything. It's been pretty cool. Been doing a lot of modding with these Casio AE 1200 watches. Apparently I can't just own anything regular anymore. I got to like take it apart and mess with it. Picked up a Addy's Dive brass watch on AliExpress, first brass watch, kind of looking forward to seeing what like the patina happens to that. Sent Scott a video. He never responded to it, but I did add a Partisan Disruptor FRT to a build that I did. And that thing's so snappy, it made my lower regions so hard I could cut glass with it. Pretty confident that is.
Tell you got to get one of those Beowulfs.
I just don't like the caliber is so expensive, man.
Everything's expensive now. I mean, but you'll find, look, the bigger stuff is less expensive to shoot than the common stuff. Like when I go to the range, like let's say I take a standard rifle and I'm shooting 223, right? You can go through $100, $200 of ammo in no time, right? Easy. Especially if you're shooting around, fuck around shooting at stuff, not like at a proper range, but like you're at a buddy's farm or something, But when you go like say bring like the Barrett, and the thing comes in a friggin' 2 meter long suitcase, you bring like a box is 10 rounds. You bring a box and a half. Okay, maybe you shoot a box and a half. You probably shoot a box, and that's 10 rounds doesn't sound much, but that's a good hour and a half of shooting. And it's not like it's like bang, okay, sit there and wait. That's just the natural pacing of getting effective work done with that gun. But you're talking about $50 for a box, so maybe $50 to $75 to shoot for the afternoon versus $200 to shoot with an AR. So big difference there. But
yeah, but I'm saying like, so I'm paying somewhere around like
even
38 to like 49 cents a round for 5.56, and I can go and just eat 10 30 round mags very quickly, so it just to have fun, it
right. But if you take a 50, you shoot so much less that you end up with not spending you're not spending even as much on the big stuff, but it's a higher cost of acquisition. So I'd say it kind of evens out in a way, but it's not really that bad. I mean, you go out and get yourself like a 50 Beowulf, and you're going to buy, you're going to take maybe a box ammo. You're going to fire off 5 because the magazine holds 10. Okay, now you will fire 5, and you'll be like, wow, okay, I'm going to go shoot the other one for a few minutes. And you're going to take a break. Then you're going to come back and go, oh, God, 5 more. Okay. And, you're not going to gobble through ammo on that thing. So it's a well-paced gun, I assure you.
I mean, I still I enjoy the suppressed 22. It's a lot of fun, and looking to do probably H&K MP5 is like next up, 9 mil on the the old school slap. Just played it in so many video games. I think it needs to add that to the collection. Sports wise, I will get into some sports stuff. Watch the UFC, and then also the Ronda Rousey Gina Carano thing. So I saw the Sean Strickland fight. I've never been much of a gambler, but I have a buddy that I always bet. So I made $10 as a degenerate gambler betting on Sean Strickland. That was a great fight. The Ronda Rousey Gina Carano, I think, was a fixed fight where it lasted 17 seconds.
Well, in all fairness, no one's gonna last more than 17 seconds with her.
I mean, they could have at least like stood there and each other for like 10 seconds or something. Like it just seemed ridiculous.
I'm not much of a fight watcher, but the one that I saw that was absolutely incredible was I don't know, a year or two ago, probably closer to, and we did a whole thing up at the clubhouse. We did an evening. We had the bar open. We had the fight up on the screens, and McGregor comes out, and like I don't know this guy from anything on fighting. I know him as a political activist, right? So one of my buddies is like, "Oh, this guy's fucking amazing, man. He's gonna destroy whoever he goes after." And there's all the fights leading up to his were actually really good. I mean, like surprising stuff. And so McGregor comes out, and in 2 seconds he breaks his own leg. I thought, God damn, he is good. He kicked his own ass in 2 seconds and ended the fight.
Man,
But,
that was
that
I
was
want to
some
say
crazy stuff.
that was probably that was a little bit longer ago, but yeah, I remember that one. As far as movies, TV, I watched Send Help, which is actually pretty fun. Had a nice ending. That's a Sam Raimi movie. Have you guys seen that one?
No.
Yeah.
It's on Disney Plus right now. Just came out, but I guess Sam Raimi hadn't done a horror movie in a long time. You remember Evil Dead movies and stuff like that. I think he had done From Hell or something. He had done quite a few horror movies. Hadn't done one in a while. I think he did like one of the Marvel Doctor Strange movies. Was Doctor Strange 2 was one of his last movies, and he did this one, which It was good, man. It was a good, fresh kind of B horror, like maybe a little bit above that. Had Rachel Adams or Rachel McAdams, I don't know, whoever, but she was good. Actually, yesterday went to the movie theater. I usually don't go to movies by myself. It's kind of a rare thing, but no one in the house wanted to go see Grogu and Mandalorian and Grogu. Um, my kids were like, that's a fake Star Wars movie." Tracy had zero interest in going to see it. I was like, "Fuck it, you know what? I catch a matinee for $9 or whatever." So I went there. Um, Opens up with some really great fight scenes. Had some through kind of sprinkled throughout the movie. Overall, it was kind of corny. Um, I'm not sure I needed to see it on the big screen, but you know, like it's fine. Like if you like the TV show or whatever, like you don't really have to have watched any of those to kind of understand what's going on, which is kind of cool the way they made it. Um, and man, like there's a scene where he's fighting some like remnants of the Empire, and he's fighting some AT-ATs and stuff like that. And it's just some of the best action that I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie, to be honest. And then there's a whole kind of taking on the Jabba the Hutt clan kind of thing, which is pretty badass. But there's a lot of kind of cheese kind of sprinkled throughout. Had a bit of a like synth pop 80s kind of music theme to it, which was I thought kind of interesting. Um, I don't know, like I'd say like C plus, you know, B, like it was fine. I don't know. Maybe if I'd seen it in 3D or something, it would have been more impressive. But I mean, it's fine. In other news, good thing I passed my physical with the cholesterol of a 3-year-old because I had naturally been vegetarian, vegan for the last since January. So if any of you are kind of on the fence about cholesterol, seriously, you just go vegetarian, vegan, like that shit will like fall off a cliff. So I celebrated responsibly, making barbecue yesterday on my smoker, and then binge watching The Burrows for about 8 hours on Netflix. And that is made by the Duffer Brothers, which are like the guys that put together Stranger Things. Would have been good as probably 4 episodes. I'm not going to really ruin it. But at 8 episodes, it's kind of a slow motion hostage situation. Like I watched like the first 4 episodes kind of with Tracy in the living room, and we were both kind of tired. And then she went up to bed, and then I turned it up to 1.5 speed, which is awesome that Netflix lets you do that shit. So I watched the rest of it kind of through fast speed a little bit. That made it a little bit more tolerable. I don't know. It's fine. It's something different, you know. So I like that it's not like a complete retread of some other shit. But yeah, overall, I mean, that's my month. Volleyball pain, you know, some retro reflexes kind of falling off a cliff a little bit, some fallout therapy, and it's kind of looking forward to the summer and getting a little vacation time.
Now, Sparkle, have you played Fallout 76 recently?
No, because I remember when that came out. God, I've been on the show for like 10 years or something. I was like, "How is it, man?" You're like, "I
The
literally
worst game released
You're like,
today.
"I took it outside and I skipped it across the asphalt." Like that was like literally what you said. Like we have it on record somewhere. So I never played it.
It was that bad. I stand by that. My original assessment, I 100% stand by. But I will give credit where credit's due, and they have done a lot to fuck it.
Really?
So they really have. So it's never going to be Fallout 4, right? And the fact that there hasn't been a Fallout 5 is just insane. But it's been fixed. I would give them that. So I'm at like level 350, 360 or something. So what I do is I log in there daily and I run through and I do the dailies, you know, for the season. And I've built like a lot of cool fortresses. I did One is like a nuclear power plant, even has like reactors that explode and everything. I did one is like built next to this theme park, and it's like an alien crash site with a UFO and all. I mean, there's a lot of neat stuff you can do, and it's become a nice accessory to Fallout 4. It was not that when it launched.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
bro, you can't go from I skipped it across like the concrete in front of my house and it's a piece of shit. Don't ever play it to like I'm level 350 and I built like this really cool nuclear facility.
And as I said, they did about 10 years of fixes. That was it. What it was. What I said it was when it launched was what it was when it launched. And to their credit, they have fixed it. I would suggest giving it a go. Understandably, they really shit in their own cornflakes and ruined their reputation with how it launched. The way it is now is how it should have been when it launched. If it had been this way when it launched, I would have been okay with it. But it was not that way when it launched.
Are the graphics better than 4?
They're based on the 4 assets. So now there's a lot of new stuff they've added, especially over the years. And it's comparable to 4 for sure. It's very similar. So, I did want to ask Random though, what do you think of Death Stranding 2 now that you're in there?
Not got very far into it yet, because I keep allowing myself to get sidetracked and just enjoy mooching around rather than sort of pushing it forward. But so I've not really seen anything particularly new yet. But it was like part of that I think is though that it coming back to it, it's like comforting and very can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but like you just felt like
You're just sitting in them.
you're just picking up where you left off essentially from before almost. I mean, like obviously minus the infrastructure you've built and things, but you just sort of go straight back into it, going like, all right, yeah, I know what I'm doing. This is and I'm just happy. And I'm just like enjoying myself, and I'm gonna let this just take its time and let it go at a steady pace. I might mainline some bits of it here and there, but it's like I'm in no rush. And it PC version, man, 4K 120 frames per second looks fucking gorgeous.
It is an absolutely beautiful game, isn't it?
Yeah,
and the one thing though, I liked your assessment there because I think it was pretty accurate. It's like, okay, like I texted you, I think the day I started, I'm like, MF got me running around a mountain range with a screaming baby again,
Yeah.
and it really is. It's like, what was the thing I really didn't care for about number 1? That you spent the first hour of the game running around with a screaming baby doing nothing. He did it again, bastard. But there's a lot of good stuff to it. The one thing though, and it's not a spoiler for you, it's just a word of caution. The first game, the pacing was extremely good. Like your character developed in proportion to the growing capability of the enemy.
Yeah.
And like I felt like it was pretty well paced. Like ideally, whether you're going for the zipline network or the road network or whatever, ideally by the time that you reach sort of the end game, the final confrontation, you should have a fully developed national transportation network. You should have robots running between places, and you should have the assets to have built all that, But in number 2, the pacing's horribly broken, at least on the PS5 game. So what you ended up with was, oh crap, this is the final boss monster, and I've only done maybe a third of the game infrastructure-wise. So I could go beat the boss, and I still got 2/3 of the game that I never finished, So I ended up just because I also wasn't sure because I'm all very, very hesitant to go and look into things up online. I want to experience the game as it was. So what happened is I go into this one fight, and sure enough, it actually was the boss. It actually was the end of the game. And then I'm sitting there like, well, okay, game's over, and I still have 2/3 of the nation to work on. So what am I going to do? Fuck it, restart. So I ended up deleting that whole game and relaunching a new one. Then I had to manage the pacing myself so that I actually didn't complete the missions when I could, so that the game ended in unison.
Yeah.
But that was sloppy. That was bad. Other than that, the game is great, but just be aware of that it'll definitely, you can beat that game well before you've experienced the whole of it. So
Fair enough. Sounds like I'm
right.
doing the right thing then, sort of not going
Yeah,
for the
no,
main,
that's
main
what made me
quest
think of that.
almost, and just sort of going side questing. Just quickly before we go on, Sparkle, did you say you had watched Ready or Not 2? If you're still there. Oh, he's muted. Don't know if he's still there. But yeah, I remembered I'd watched that, and I know that he had watched the first one at least. Oh,
No, I was gonna go out and see it in the theaters, didn't make it, and then kind of was gonna rent it the other night, and it was $20 to rent. It wasn't available to buy. I think I bought the first one for $20. I'd buy it for $20, but I wasn't gonna rent it for $20.
yeah, fair enough.
No.
Yeah, I thought it was quite good. I had no
Horrible
idea
deal.
where they were going to take, like, the concept and what they were going to do, but I think they handled it pretty well.
I mean, did it have that kind of like black comedy kind of thing going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that first one is such a fresh movie, man. Like I've never been somebody to watch a movie like a whole bunch of times. There's a few of them that I have that I'll just like put on in the background whenever I'm cleaning, stuff like that. That almost might be a cool top 10 for us to do. Might, I don't know if we'd ever venture out and do something.
Games while cleaning house.
Like movies you put on while you're, like in the background kind of thing. Might be something fun, but Ready or Not is up there with me, and same with Thor Ragnarok. I just always seem to throw that thing on in the background kind of thing.
All righty. Everybody ready for some news stories?
Let's get it.
Do it.
All right. Got one up here from Gareth Hamer, and he says, I am trapped in a sweet-smelling cycle of video game branded toiletries. So, a company called Lush has a Mario Galaxy range, and they've reviewed it. And, I mean, I've never been one for fancy toiletries. I never got excited by a Yoshi-shaped bar soap. But if you're the kind of bloke that likes this stuff, it's out there for you.
Have you ever been to Lush before?
I was there last week and looked at the Mario Galaxy stuff, and none of it was labelled vegan. But also, like, I really like my baths. And
Soap's got ribs in it.
Bro, I will have like an hour and a half to a 2-hour bath, and I'm not spending like 10 quid just for a bath bomb for it. What's happening in the bath? I'm watching YouTube, smoking a joint, having a beer, reading a book. Just good time.
Okay.
It's like a wet bar. You're like,
I mean, I'll tell you this. Lush is kind of incredible, and I always go in there with my kids. Like, there's a high-end mall here, and they have like bath bombs that are covered in glitter. I'll like wipe it on my face. Like, I'll touch the ball and then just kind of wipe my face, and my kids always laugh that I have like glitter face and shit. But man, their shit smells so fucking like, it's probably not good for you because it smells so fucking good. But they have some shit called Outback. It's this like eucalyptus mint or something, and like when I wash myself with that shit, and like I'm in an elevator and work, and people like, it's a fucking panty dropper, dude. Like, I don't even have to wear cologne or nothing. Like, I just soap up with that shit in the shower in the morning, and then go in a fucking elevator, and girls are like wanting to drop their panties. So fucking Outback, I'm telling you, like it smells so fucking good.
yeah, but they're freaking all koala bear looking bitches. Anyway, I go to man stores and I buy things like this, a high torque starter for a Harley Davidson motor, man.
There's a guy with a cat that's licking its asshole next to him.
He's grooming his paws. He's a very clean animal. I'm amazed that he gets folded up into that basket. He's about 10 times bigger than that basket, but he loves it. He just gets in there and snoozes. So
I don't know, man. Look suspect, like he was cleaning his asshole.
Wow.
All right, got one from David Gyrich here. Xbox Battle for Japan. Former Xbox exec regrets it's not securing Final Fantasy on the console. Wanted to have Sony to have the competition, but couldn't be too overt. So Ed Freeze suggested that Sony couldn't punish Japan publishers for their support of Microsoft. I don't know. Like Xbox is kind of a weird thing. You know, they had Halo, they had Banjo Kazooie, they had a couple exclusives, but you know, when he was at Live and the Bouncy Boobies and stuff like that, but for the most part, man, like I just don't think it really slapped outside of United States, and they had so many issues with the 360, with the the hardware, Red Ring of Death, and stuff like that, and it just it never landed after that. What are you guys' thoughts on 360 or Xbox in general? Like too many weird naming conventions, just
Well,
like
yeah, I mean,
made so many dumb
360
steps.
was good. Xbox One was the downfall, where they didn't have the hardware and the policies. Sort of
Oh yeah, like
harmed
the game
everyone.
shit where you could only have it
Yeah.
linked to one console and you had to be online.
And the problem is
fuck
that like there was this weird thing of like it had some momentum because people had already a big friend group on Xbox Live, so they kind of, some people did migrate with their friends over, but then eventually more and more of them got PlayStations as well, and they built their friend network on PlayStation, and then that was the start of the generation where all your games like are now essentially forward compatible and playable. So you build a library on that generation and it follows you through. So then there's no point buying a new Xbox now because you don't have access to all your library because you bought everything on PlayStation. So you just stay on PlayStation now. And then
to me, Xbox just seems to embrace the worst instincts of the industry.
there's that. I mean, and it's been looking really rocky for them. But having said that, Forza Horizon 6 this week, they're claiming 5 million sales. I don't think that's actually full-on sales. I think a lot of that is Game Pass players, but even on Steam, they're getting really high concurrent player-based numbers, so they must have sold there. And a lot of that as well was the expensive early access version as well, which was like $100 or something. It was insane just to play it like 3 days early. So that's going to be a big hit, and the last one when they brought it to PlayStation was a massive hit. So presumably when they port this one over again, that'll be big. Whether they'll manage to sort of continue that with all their other franchises are kind of dying. Like they've had a Gears of War stuff remakes and remasters sort of on the back burner for a while. Halo, they're bringing a remake of Halo 1. That's coming to like PlayStation as well and everything. But then is anyone going to care like to play Halo 1 a third time? It's, and like Gears is great. Fable, I've got connections there, so it's a bit hard to sort of stay too objective. But yeah, very cautious on that. But everything else, they've killed Forza Motorsport, the full-on Forza series. State of Decay, they claim is still around, but I mean that never seemed like more than a cult following for that anyway. That's all they've got. But then PlayStation aren't exactly banging out must-have sort of.
Well, nobody is.
titles
That's the entire problem. Is you've got, like I was saying, I go in there, I look at, okay, what does the PlayStation Plus have? 3 garbage games this month, and they used to have pretty good games. And then I look at what's available, like what can I literally buy right now? And I look at every offering, and every month it's like this. Yeah, there's nothing here I care about. Nothing. It's just. And that's, the death of the studios. They consolidated and burned and cut and slashed, and now you're left with nobody making games, and there's nothing in the ecosystem. It's just fucking awful. I mean, I like the arrangement of I will give you money for a quality game, you make them, and I keep buying them. I thought that was a fair arrangement that I could get
Well, yeah,
along with.
you'd think that'd work, wouldn't you? But I mean, yeah, and what they're going to do? I mean, obviously,
I get fucking soap. I get scented soap.
Oh
presumably,
yeah.
GTA is going to be a bit of a lift to the industry, but then, it's fucking ridiculous. We're looking at like the PlayStation Digital 5 Digital is now 50% more expensive than it was 6 years ago when it launched, and it's we've not had a console cycle that's
Yo.
been like this price wise. And then the next generation, they're even more fucked because they're going to be horrendously expensive. So no one's
So
going to want to.
I don't give a
Yeah,
shit about the cost of the console if you have a regular supply of games.
I'm showing on screen a whole bunch of or SD
SD
cards that I have for my digital camera. At one point, I was buying 256 gigabyte cards for about $24.99 a piece.
Mhm.
They were cheap as fuck a couple years ago, so I was just like, grab some more. I really don't delete stuff off my cards because I don't need to. Like, I can just buy a new card. Now that same card that was like $20 to $25 is now like $90 for the
Yeah,
same
I see
card.
the same thing. I buy the micro versions for my drones, and a 256 gig. I want to say it was a $16 or $18 purchase. Is no longer that. So,
Yeah,
but
it's all got a
yeah,
bit
yeah,
silly.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm happy. I'm pretty well stocked up on hardware right now.
Well,
So,
we got
um,
got one little bit of business news here from the United States of America. Kind of maybe world impact, because I know you guys got eBay UK, but GameStop, which is kind of the last foray in video game shops, at least nationally here in the United States, proposes to acquire eBay for $125 a share. So they have an activist guy. Let's see, what's the fellow's name here?
it's a whole bunch of bullshit because the guy was trying to sell, like, he was doing a Kennedy thing. He was trying to sell his own games on eBay to fund buying eBay or something like.
Well,
I
they
don't
bought a bunch of
think
stock. So they bought 6.55% of the shares of eBay are actually owned by GameStop now, and the guy Ryan Cohen is kind of one of these like Wall Street investor kind of darlings and everything. And this was a meme stock for a while, and he's basically was on some of these big like investment shows, and they were like, dude, how are you going to do it? And he's like, well, just issue more stock. Like, why are you asking me so many questions and what? So they
wasn't there. He was gonna raise a load of money by selling off, a load of his games and stuff that he had in his collection. But the thing was, all of that collection came from the Game Informer magazine, and like their archive that the staff had built out over years, so that this publication had a big archive of gaming. And then when they shut that down, he basically took it all and effectively stole it from them. And then he's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to sell all of that to raise loads of money. It's just shit like that.
yeah, so it's kind of
very
like
Kennedy-esque
Very
was my
Kennedy,
was
yeah.
my sentiment.
Oh, I'll just borrow these games off Willie. Oh,
They're-
whoops! I've accidentally put them on eBay.
they're asking for a stock dilution of 400% and some other stuff to acquire this, and they're just not they're such a tiny small company compared to eBay. It's very rare that a company is going to buy something 5-6 times its value. Plus,
Yeah, but there's also been a whole lot of weirdo events in history where, like, at one point, Blockbuster had the option to buy Netflix for some nominal fee. And they were like, we're Blockbuster. We don't buy that. I mean, it's happened.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it still doesn't make sense where you have these companies that carry loads of debt too, where they're like, Target or whatever, it carries $20 billion worth of debt or something. So to me, if I have $10 in my bank account, I have more money than Target. Like if they're carrying $20, $20 billion in debt, like so, some of this stuff just doesn't really pass the smell test to me at some point. But I don't know. Whatever this guy's gonna try to buy eBay. I think eBay is a great spot. I've bought and sold a lot of things on eBay. It's been a great resource for me over the years, from collectibles to comic books to vintage Halloween to buying, selling shoes and watches. And I mean, even my daughter, she has some old Pokemon cards that she dusted off. They're worth some money. So, I mean, eBay is a great place, man. I really enjoy. I'm glad that I have it. There's nothing.
I'm glad. Like there went through a period of time where the Chinesium was just flooding the market. I mean, it made it almost hard to use eBay because I would search for, like, say, 1982 Subaru OEM brake brake rotor, right? And instead of finding the one guy that was selling a new in box 1982 Subaru GL brake rotor, what would I get? Every Chinese in America and in China representing themselves as being American sellers would list every product they have as both fitting the 82 Subaru and being OEM. So the search engine was rendered unusable by just the Chinese clutter. And it got, I mean, it was almost, I mean, when you're searching, say, for uh, new condition or open box, 1970 through 1990 RC helicopter kits, and you're getting every trash toy, the little, like, $20 RC helicopters that barely fly. Like, why am I getting that flagged as a kit from 1982? Utter bullshit. But I got some more utter bullshit for you from, look, Dave Lanke here.
Mm-hmm.
This Linux shell revives the worst versions of Windows, and it's glorious. I don't know if it's glorious, but
no, I wanted ideally Mike to be here for this because I know he was a big fan of Windows
give him all his
8.1.
Windows atrocities back.
He's an absolute sicko. I always thought it was the worst thing ever that Microsoft have done, even to this day. I don't think there's anything worse than that interface, but
Bob was pretty bad.
Oh yeah. So yeah, if you want that glorious feeling of Windows 8.1, I mean, it was nice the way it adapted and did work for, like, Windows Mobile and stuff like that, and gave you quite a good phone interface. But it just wasn't good for a desktop PC. But if you want that, yeah, people have made a Linux desktop that works very well in that style. Just in case.
Let's see. Got one here from Gareth Hamer. I'm gonna ask this up front. I'm gonna guess, and you can pause the stream now, and I want everybody to take a guess. Does Scott know who this next story is about? Okay, your guesses are in. All right, Scott. Aesop Rocky. Aesop Rocky is caught playing a new handheld retro game console that he's helped bring to life. Shortlist at the social at it again. So, do you know who Aesop Rocky is?
All right, so let me finish my sentence here and give you the full thing. I have not a clue, but by the ridiculous spelling of the name, including the $sign, the claims of being involved with a console that they developed, I'm going to guess they didn't. So I'm going to guess it's a rapper who signed some naming agreement with some existing piece of shit Chinese console.
Wow.
Is going to be selling one of these things.
You, sir, are fucking dead on.
Okay, good.
And amazing. And if you guys bet that he didn't know who Aesop Rocky is,
that's true.
He kind of didn't, but he did. So you lost. And yeah, so as it turns out, this guy it's like kind of a mediocre rapper now has the homie made game console. It's a retro built machine that looks like it's been pulled out of an alternate universe from the Nintendo lab. It runs on a Retro Pi, has a flip-up LCD screen and comes wrapped in a clean cream and blue shell that leans hard into the late 90s aesthetics. I'd say more like kind of gives me like Sega Nintendo vibes or something. Dual red analog sticks, bright blue D-pad, 4-button layout, start select. Let's see, it's backed by Augie and Aesop Rocky's creative agency. And it's the homie made. It's not your typical tech company. You know what?
But 100%, it's some off-the-shelf Chinese thing
I was
that they
gonna
slap
say,
the
is
name
this
on.
not just like when Soldier Boy was just drop shipping one of the very cheap Chinese handheld, and like, but then putting a sticker on it saying Soldier Boy and then like doubling the price, shit like
I used to have these I had this game like Astro Blaster or something that was like a fucking little like handheld thing from Radio Shack that was black and white, and it kind of has a vibe of that. Even like the website is complete shit. I clicked on it. It's like the most basic website you've ever seen in your life. You want to try to buy it, it just says inquire. It doesn't give you a price, but there's like 3D models spinning around and shit. I mean, yeah, it's
Hey, we've seen 3D modeling before. So,
yeah.
got some actual good news, though. Directory Opus is getting a restart, if you're an Amiga guy, Directory Opus was the directory file manager that was so much more functional and perfect for the Amiga. Now, it came out well into the Amiga's lifespan, but kind of like, I forget the copy program that was out for the Amiga. Not VGA copy, that was Windows. But disk copy, I think maybe. But anyway, it was one of those programs that became the default. If you have an Amiga, you're using this kind of things. So it's getting an update and a rebuild, and just in time for the A1200 to be delayed. RetroGames.biz apparently ran into entirely predictable, unnecessary shenanigans, and their July release has now been pushed to December, which means they'll do a quiet dodge. It will ship somewhere first quarter of next year. Basically, they probably let their place in line slip for some sort of monetary gain from the manufacturer, is my guess.
I'm going to predict that this thing never comes out and that people just run off with the money.
No, because I sincerely doubt that. They have delivered every one of their products, and every one of their products has been excellent. So they did the C64 Mini, which had no functional keyboard and a 1/3 scale case. But then they did the C64, which is the same board with the same software, tiny subtle differences, but a working keyboard. And it's freaking fantastic. But if you didn't care about it being a full-size case and you didn't care about the keyboard, you would notice no difference between the two. The dev work is complete. They're both the same. So then they came out with, I'm looking up at it now on my shelf, they came out with the Amiga Mini, which was beautifully done. It was just like the C64 Mini. It has no functioning keyboard, and the console is about 1/3 the size of the real computer. So they announced the Amiga, which is going to be the same evolution, just a full-size case with a working keyboard on the existing board. And somehow that takes 2, 3, 4, 5 years to fucking do. And it's always some internal bullshit, some sort of legal thing of some, person out there who bought like the rights to the Amiga mouse button who says, "Oh, you can't ship that without me getting half the money." And then it goes on and on and on and on and on. And finally they ship the damn product. So I have no doubt. I mean, when they come out with a blatant lie, maybe their lawyers say you can't say it's because of the other company, whatever. I don't know. But they come out with a blatant lie that, we're still working on the software. The fuck you are. I bet when that thing ships that the software on it is essentially identical to the Mini that's already on the market. It's some other matter. It always is, and I'm tired of it. But That said, it will ship. I'm sure of it because every one of the other products is shipped, and it will be good. It's just this unnecessary horseshit attached to it that really gets annoying.
Well, on the lines of unnecessary horseshit, got a couple from Peter Gibbs, and he says he enjoys the last comment of this news. It was a news article saying that the Broken Sword remake was available for free to keep on iOS and Android. All that is required is an Epic Game Store account, which costs nothing. Meanwhile, once claimed, the game is free to keep perpetually until either Epic Game Store shuts down or your account is shut down or lost. So, yes, he says that's the new definition of free and perpetual. Not at all perpetual. It's completely reliant on a service. And a second one, which must have been a slow day at Yahoo Tech, because it's a story about a Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller that someone tried to buy from Amazon, but it was delivered with a Switch 1 Switch 1 Pro controller in the box. It worked out for them because Amazon let them return it, but this isn't the first time that people have been buying stuff off Amazon, and they don't really check their returns very well. It gets restocked in the warehouse and just gets shipped out to someone else, and probably even if they did, the person who checked it that day looked at it and went, yeah, that's a Switch Pro controller, it's in the box, and that was it. So happens with a lot of products. It just made news for Yahoo Tech because it was the Switch 2 was still newsworthy back in April.
Bro, talk about Chinification. I've gotten so much horseshit off Amazon in the last 6 months that like you get it and it's just cheap shit from China. Like I got a little like some parts for a watch and some other shit, and it's just fucking garbage. Like this thing right here I'm returning. This is supposedly a silicone watch band, and it's like hard fucking plastic. It was $10 or whatever, but I'm returning it. Like it's just, they say like, oh, silicone watch band. It's you could usually tell when something has like 10 reviews and it's like, Shanghai like reviewed it and gave it like 5 stars and is like amazing.
It's always some unrelated event like, oh, I bought this watch for my son and he loves running around the room with it and flying it against the wall. And it's like, what?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, man.
And then you search and you find like 5 other products with usually 5-letter nonsense names for the company that are all like the exact same product.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go to return it to Amazon. You're like, all right, this is horse shit. This is like a piece of ABS plastic. It's not a fucking silicone watch band. And then you have to jump through like 18 hoops where they like ask you all these questions and they're like, are you sure it's not damaged? Like, what's
Would
wrong?
you like tech support?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you want to talk to like Sanjay in fucking India about your watch band, and it's like, no, it's a piece of shit fucking scam that probably cost like a nickel to make, and you sold it to me as like a $12 fucking watch band, and it's not silicone, it's fucking ABS plastic.
Hey,
see, I'm truly annoyed by those things. I had this happen the other week where I ordered a heated blanket of all things, right? And I've got like really bad arthritis. It's like knee, shoulder, and everything. It's like a battle. I just had these injections. It's called Durolane, and it's like a gel paste. And basically what it is they're greasing your joints. They pump this anti-inflammatory gel into the joint space so that it's more functional. Yeah, it's not fun. But, and then, just the whole long story behind that with the VA and everything. My entire cohort group that served in the Gulf War, they finally, like over the course of decades, came clean about a lot of the chemical weapon exposure and all that. And like, I had to do this whole thing called the PACT Act, which is a tox panel study and all this kind of shit. But anyway, it's just something that, I'm just dealing with and doing, but I just wanted a heated blanket because, I thought, okay, if I can, like, I'm sitting there in a recliner hanging out, I can throw this heated blanket on me, crank it up, and this will be wonderful, right?
Yep.
So I buy this thing off of Amazon, And what was shown up is like, if you've ever seen somebody try and repack an unrepackable item, like an inflatable boat, or like, so I get what is the remnants of a box and then now expanded to double its original size, this electric blanket shoved into it. And it was clearly somebody's return. So now I'm super pissed because my aching fucking knees and shoulders were just hoping for an off ramp that evening. Like, I opened the fucking box. I'm like, I am going to fucking, throw this over me on the chair and crank it up and just let the heat soak into my bones, right? And now I instead having to send a letter. Dear cocksuckers, how did you not think I would notice that this is a repacked fucking return that some fucking mongoloid sweated into, you piece of shit? I mean, and like, I was so annoyed that I had to go through this process. So, so I ended up ordering the same model from another seller. It shows up 2 days later and it's perfectly fine. But yeah, it's all just wasted time and effort and money. I just despise it.
Do you think they just do arbitrage and they're like, all right, well, like 75% of people are retarded, so they just like won't return this?
I'm absolutely certain they do. No, I'll tell you how bad it is. And this is something that affects all industries, to include our hobby of retro gaming. But I bought for my Camaro, the rear bumper valence, right, was just cracked. It was just, plastic had just aged. And, you can go to Chevy and for $2,500, they'll sell you a new piece of molded plastic that goes over that section of the bumper. Or there's 100 aftermarket places that usually they all kind of come from one source. They just market them a little differently. And they're like $200, right? Which is still a bit much for one panel of ABS that goes around the rear bumper where the exhaust exits, right? So I bought this thing and it shows up and it's cracked. I'm like, so I just messaged them, hey, look, this thing showed up. It's cracked. It's unusable. Just send me another one. And if you want to send a call sticker to get this one back, go right the fuck ahead. If you want me to throw it in the trash, do or don't. Here's pictures of it. There's no question as to what's going on here. And I get this thing, oh, please to take to local repair shop to see if they can fix for you for $10 and we will give you $10 credit. I'm like, so now I'm consulting my Google English to Chinese direct thing, looking for, I'm going so I go to Grok, I'm like, the most sincere cultural insult in China, what is that? And it actually turned out to be piss stain. So I'm like, dear piss stain, this fucking thing is ruined. It's cracked. It cannot be fixed. Ship a new one or give me a full refund. That's that. So the next fucking thing I get, we'll give you $30 off if you. I'm like, you motherfuckers. So I'm just like, fraud report. I buy from somebody else. But how annoying. I mean, I am just so sick of the pettiness of trying to hold on to one dime of, disgusting. But what's not disgusting is the email here from Random Dave. And he says that there is a cat-based platformer for the Game Boy.
Ooh.
I love it when people come out with new, physical cartridges and stuff,
I think the Kickstarter has probably ended, unfortunately. Just ended, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, it funded like 2 days ago. But you can still do the late pledge for available rewards, which I am kind of mixed on this late pledge thing. In some cases, like, I directly benefit because I'm like, oh, look, I missed this thing. At least I can still order one. That's cool.
Especially as it's kind of like, well, yeah, you might be like hanging back to say how well, is this actually going to hit its goal and get made? And it's like, oh, it has. Right, now I'll order it, kind of thing.
However, that can be super destructive for otherwise successful projects.
Because if everyone does
that, if people go, I'm just going to see if this funds. Oh, look, it didn't fund. I was clever. I was right. But had that been your one window, this thing would have funded because So
yeah, but usually the early bird shit is cheaper. Like
yes, yeah. Usually there's an incentive to do it. But yeah, for this, there is a demo that's available on itch.io. There's a link to it in their Kickstarter. So if you want to, as there is a late pledge option on there, you can check out the demo and see if you like it or not.
But it looks more mouse themed to me. Like the two main characters are mice. It's a platformer. It kind of reminds me of Great Gianna Sisters in a way. And you got these mice going through these caverns of, I guess, cat world or something. But it kind of reminds me a little bit of, a little Mario, a little Gianna. The demo looks really good. I think it looks like a pretty damn good game.
Some of it gives me Mario 2 vibes a little bit. But yeah, I don't see how this is cat themed. This is totally like you play two fucking rats.
Well, the scenery is cats, but I mean, I think it's
world.
But cat. They could call it cat and mouse game, but that would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
So one other here that's kind of connected, I guess. I had this one pulled up. So somebody has done a palette shift by using different colored ABS plastic for an existing game. They've put a Commodore label on it, and they're running a Commodore emulator, and they're calling it the C64 handheld. It's $129.99 USD plus shipping from Funstock US, which I guess funstock.co.uk became branched out into funstock.us. But if it was like $80 or something just as a novelty, but there's no heritage connection. There's other ways. Like I can play Commodore 64 games on so much other stuff, but I kind of like it. I just don't think I $130 like it. I think I like $80 like it. So, but it's out there, and if you like it for $130, I think it's exactly $50 overpriced. And I just, I can't.
I'm with you. Like, cause if you think about the power that you need to emulate the C64, and there's a Spectrum one as well. I was just going to bring it up. Yeah. This is the kind of shit that's like $20 on AliExpress, like that kind of level of horsepower.
It is. It's a $20. Well, let's say it's fairness. It's a $50. Well, okay, $35 below Ambernick. Okay, little thing, and they rethemed it. So would you pay $50 for it? Maybe 80 if it had a really nice package and it was something kind of cool. Yeah, but not 130. No. So and as Random said, there is a Spectrum version. It's the exact same piece of hardware, just with a rainbow sticker and a palette shift to black ABS plastic. So not for me. Nah, I just can't do it.
Mike did send them two separate emails, though.
He did because he's simple.
For those of you on the Switch platform, this was sent in by Peter Gibbs. In case you missed it, in February, Bethesda announced its weekly physical versions of Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition and Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Anniversary Edition for the Switch 2. And they come in a bright red box. They look great. You're like, hell yeah, this is good. They're updated, optimized for the platform. However, there's the ninth circle of hell for these people because the game is not included in the box. What you get is a code. So you get a piece of plastic case without a fucking game in it. Like the ultimate bait and switch. If you've asked,
point?
Like what in the fuck? Like they're putting out a plastic case with a code in it. Yeah. Like this is the most ridiculous. Like these people should be strung up on a tree or something. Like what?
It's not like you might as well doing like a lot of Switch 2 games are what they call game key cards, where that's essentially there's no.
And that's why I'm out.
It's just an authentication key to allow you to download it. So, you don't actually have the code on, you still need an internet connection, blah, 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 but at least you somewhat can transfer that to someone else, whereas a fucking piece of paper with a code in a box, and they've gone to the effort of all this plastic and all this shipping and absolute fucking nonsense.
Yeah, they do
Let's talk about absolute nonsense and bullshit product shipping. I got one here from Peter Gibbs, and it's the Mega Drive Lego set. I'm thinking, well, that sounds kind of cool. How do you fuck that up, right? Well, it's probably not playable, right? Because all they had to do was have, the GOAX, Genesis on a chip, with maybe 12 ROMs, and you could literally have one brick that would be, the size of a Zippo lighter, and it could have the video out, the game, the controller input, and it would make it cool. They probably didn't do that. Okay, fine. How did they fuck it up? Oh, they made it the size of a pack of cigarettes, and it looks awful. Like it just looks awful.
Compared
And
to
the
Atari
comments
and
are
the
like,
NES, it's I don't know whether it's Sega that have said, oh, we don't want to make an expensive one, or the same, because those ones were like 150 quid, quite expensive, but that gives you like 1,000 odd pieces, quite a lot of stuff to play with. This is like 400 pieces. The controllers look like absolute shit. It's just, what the fuck have they done? Why is it such a...
Not gonna lie, it looks pretty terrible, especially the controller. This thing isn't even worth the price due to being such a limited size. You can get a functioning At Games Genesis for that price. Cheap, small, no, not interested. The NES Game Boy set looks almost identical to the real thing. Then we have this. The NES and same thing. This Genesis, as a Genesis fanboy, this looks like crap. Yeah, no, it's just awful, and I'm not going to do it, won't do it, no interest. And I'm not a Lego
the
guy.
Genesis Mini wasn't that much more expensive than that would be, and that had like 36 games on it, from Sega, and was like a miniature Genesis. What are we doing?
Pure crap.
What else we got then? Oh, David Gyrick, he has sent in that the A1200 has been delayed, but we've kind of covered that courtesy of Scott a little earlier. I thought I had some interesting stuff. Oh, well, this one suddenly caught my attention. Mike James, Craigslist to the girl I had drunk sex with. What's this all about? He has.
I think Mike James might have been drunk when he was posting these, because there's like 6 Craigslists in a row, so might have had drinking time.
He's got drunk and gone down a Craigslist rabbit hole. So it says, drinking in the U district sure is fun, isn't it? You can end up doing the craziest things, such as getting drunk and stumbling home with an equally drunk co-ed. Oh my god, I was so wasted. I don't remember meeting you. I don't remember taking the bus with you. I assume we took the bus, as neither of us were in any position to drive, and my apartment is a good 5 miles from where we drank, which would be far too long a walk when sober. I do remember briefly taking in the bar, although I don't know what about. Talking in the bar, don't know what about. I remember us naked in my living room. I hope we kept our clothes on until we entered my apartment. We drank some more at my place, I think. Everything is very hazy. You were hot and a senior from a sorority. That's great. I think that made the sex better somehow, because I don't remember much, but I think we had amazing, albeit sloppy sex for a long while. May I take a second here to congratulate myself on staying hard despite so much alcohol. You did well too. It was fun. Then we fell asleep. I woke up with a massive headache and an inability to recall the previous night. You were gone when I woke up. All traces of you vanished. I was merely a one-night stand for you. I don't regret it though. I just have 2 questions. What is your name? And can I please have my wallet back?
I have a feeling it didn't really quite go down like this guy somewhat vaguely remembered in Seattle.
No.
And Russell took his wallet. So,
Russell.
Got one here from Gareth Hamer called Let's Pretend. And there is a game out, planned release date 2026. So we'll see. But it's called Restory. You work in a very tiny little gaming repair shop where people bring in consoles and Tamagotchis and handhelds, and you wave your controller tool around the area to restore different things and replace chips, and then hand it back to the customer. I don't know if that sounds that fun. Not sure what the game is there.
This sounds like my daughter just broke her iPhone 15 Pro Max, the or 14 Pro Max, one of them. The back of it's glass. It was the last one they made with a glass back, and she was at an amusement park, dropped it with the case on, the back kind of cracked and everything, and took it up to a local mall here, and Sanjay Patel was like, I could fix it for $150. But everything I looked up online, you need like a laser and something else. Like it's a little bit more complicated. You got to remove all kinds of stuff. Like Apple has really made these things impossible to just kind of pop off the back case. It's you have to like remove the whole front and guts to get to the back chassis now. Apple charges $500, and I'm just like, yeah, no, you're just gonna have a cracked back case. Like it doesn't matter. The MagSafe still works. The glass is glued to the back. It's tough, but it's too bad. Not gonna fix this and risk it.
So I bought a fold phone. Right now, the first thing I do is I violate the warranty by loading alternate OS to it. So that is what it is. But when I looked at this thing, I thought, okay, they're going to bring this to the market with one of these new foldable flexi screens. They're going to put a incredibly sharp crease in it in one corner, and it's going to fail. The engineer in me said this is just not good. But
Right.
then when you look at how they do phone testing, right? Like you've seen the rigs where they have like the suction cup and it's opening and closing the phone like 100,000 times, and then they record the failure rate and all that. I thought, okay, it's a Google Pixel, because the good thing about the Google Pixels is they have an unlocked NAND, so you can like totally erase them and install new software, kind of like taking a Windows PC and just wiping it, installing Linux. So that's exactly what I do. So I thought, okay, this is Google. Surely they spent the money and time and tested this, and it's not, because if it comes out and it fails in the first 2 weeks or so, they're going to forever just kill this category of phone, as a viable, new area of phone formats. And so I went ahead and I bought one, and then 5 weeks later, the inner screen. Now it used to get a little green light in this corner, but like literally so now I'm carrying around this phone that's that thick. And so basically it's like carrying, because I'll open it up just a bit. So you see there, it's like basically you've got a phone with a dead, like when you see like a conjoined twin born and one of them's dead. So now you got to carry around like this dead brother wherever you go.
Jesus, man.
Well, I didn't build the thing. So this is what you're looking at. You're looking at, this is the functional phone carrying around this corpse on its back, right? And on principle, I'm like, that was a year ago. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get a full year use out of that thing, period. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting. Calyx OS did a reorg, and they just, like last week, announced that they have their new version prepped, their new distro, everything is set. So I'm going to go ahead and hop on eBay. And what I always do is I buy the current generation Pixel and reload it. So I'm going to go ahead. I told myself I'm just going to wait till the new Calyx is out just to make sure that the Pixel is still a preferred platform and everything is supported and all. So that's the plan. So any day now, I'm just going to, hop on eBay and buy a new inbox, unlocked, one, and install Calyx. But how annoying.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make them like they used to. You remember, like my dad, God rest his soul, like I want to say from like 2005 to 2015, he had like a Nokia. Never changed the battery, nothing. It was like a little shitty flip phone, just fucking worked. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So in terms of things that work, or looking at how they work, David Gould has sent in the Visible Zorka lets you peer under the hood to see how games worked in the 80s. And like it sort of sounds, this is a site that allows you to run Zoom Machine games, but also then, while you're doing that, inspect all of the state of the game while it's running, and let you see, how your commands are affecting the thing. They liken it to sort of like running a car with the hood open, so you can see, when you press the gas pedal, you see the throttle cable, the throttle body move and things like that, which, not so relevant in a more modern car, I guess. But yeah, certainly an old school way. But yeah, good to see if you have any interest in sort of how old school text adventures, sort of, what they're doing under the hood. This allows you to sort of see, things as they happen, and sort of deconstruct it and learn about them. It's good sort of
That
starting
is
place
pretty
for
cool.
sort of game logic, I think. If you want to get into that.
Got two back to back here. One is David Gyrich. He says Gen Z has no money. So it says here more than half of Gen Z users cancel and renew streaming services for a single title. Won't purchase full price games, new study finds. Well, I can't be mad at them. I think that demonstrates some sense of frugality and financial responsibility. Like, I know these two knuckleheads, right? And they love their travel, right? And they're young, they're engineers, they make good money. What do? Oh, we're going to Antarctica, right? And it's this whole bunch of them. They take all these trips, right? So they like booked a trip on a ship that goes down to Antarctica for like 2 weeks and does a loop and all that. And they've been to Japan, they've been to Iceland, just all over the world, just trip after trip after trip. And then those same dudes will sit there for hours. Man, the whole mortgage system is rigged against us. No one can afford a home. Something's got to change. It's like, hey, remember that trip to Greenland? Remember that trip to Antarctica? Remember that trip to Japan?
Yeah,
If you
dude.
had those up, that was the down payment to your house, asshole. And that's how they do it. But seeing, when you're ordering, DoorDash and paying $38 for a $8 hamburger, that's on you. But that said, it's good. Like if some of them are going, no, we're not doing this. We're going to do whatever way we can around this insane pricing and distro system. I think it shows a level of responsibility on their behalf.
I can only speak for folks that work for me and some friends, younger friends that I have, but I do think it's incredibly tough for them to get into their first home.
It is. No, it is. If you look at the chart of like
Yeah,
income value versus house cost and all that, it is. But when you say, well, then fuck it, and you're taking, $8,000 vacations 3 times a year, and right, that matters because at their salary levels, they could afford a house if they didn't do that other shit.
I don't disagree, but I think that that's a bit of a trope. I would say that like back in 2005 when I got my first house, for $115,000, and I want to say I was making $38,000 a year or something crazy, and I really didn't. I think I put down $2,000. It was like nothing. The interest
Those are
rate was
gone. Those deals are gone.
6%. Yeah, I mean, and I had a nice, like, it was a nice 3-bedroom with a big deck and a yard and everything else. I didn't have a garage, but I mean, like, I was able to get in somewhere, and I just feel like today, you got to have probably $25,000 cash and be willing to spend 300 plus thousand. I mean, you're looking at least like
No, I will concede that everything you just said was
Yeah.
true, and I will also state that, and that's not everybody. Many people have much lower paying jobs with different circumstances, but in the case of this bunch and probably your bunch, they had that $28,000 had they not spent it on all those fantastic vacations. And oh yeah, each one of them drives a car that's at least $80K. Now, I look at like my parents, for example. They came out of doctoral programs in like 1970, and bought their first house for $40,000. That was also when a PhD researcher made $18,000 a year. But proportionality, yes, they had a better deal. But what they didn't do, what never was even a thought for them, was like, oh, let's do a trip to Japan or Antarctica. It's like, no, we can't do those things. We have to buy a house.
I would say the one
do like
thing that
these guys,
seems
though.
to escape inflation is the price of pizza. And I saw a thing that was like they were looking at Home Alone, which I think was from 1991 or 1992, and he buys
Yep.
10 pizzas, and the guy's like, that'll be $110 or something with tip or something. So there was essentially like $10, $11 for a large pizza with one topping, which is still kind of the price today, right? So for some reason, pizza never seems to be inflation proof. It's just always around 10, $11 for.
But I would say
the
this.
quality and quantity of the toppings has gone downhill.
Thank you, Dave. Dave beat me to it, but Dave said exactly. I was going to say that the meat was of such high quality then that Dave would have eaten it. And
I don't know.
No, if you look at a pizza from like 1990,
It's just like fucking dog meat on there now.
It had synthetic dog meat, sir. But if you look at a pizza from 1990, it had, real cheese, multigrain, the different flours, for the crust. It had,
no one was eating a fucking multigrain crust in 1980, dude.
No, that's how pizza bread's done. They have all these different flours that go into making, it was definitely a higher quality crust then. The cheese was higher quality, meat was higher quality, there's more of it. The pizza of 1991 is not the pizza of today. But yes, the prices stay relatively static. But here's something that wasn't available in 1991 it is today, and that's Mega Man 2, the Game Watch. Now, look, I'm a fan of Game Watches. I'm a sucker. I got, right here within reach. Let's see. We have The Legend of Zelda. Let me try and get the reflection off of it. One of the best Game Watches ever. Fantastic Game Watch. And it plays a credible version of Legend of Zelda. Almost like, like Game Boy quality. Good stuff. So, more action and RPG, but it's definitely of Zelda. It's really well done. I got a whole bunch of those things up there. I got all kinds of Game Watches. I just thought the Game Watch was like an amazing format. Especially the way that, like, in the 80s, well, even back to even the very late 70s, you had like pretty damn good Game Watches that could play a credible game. So they came out with one for the Mega Man 2, one of the most notorious difficult games to play. And I'm not so sure what I think of it. First of all, it's $80, and I'm like, $80 for a novelty I'm going to play for 45 seconds and then put on the shelf. It's not an original Legend of Zelda one. I don't know. But
How much was the Game & Watch when it first came out?
Oh, they were around like 30, 40. So
okay, so for inflation, you're kind of at the same.
No, it's comparable pricing, but it's not ridiculous. That's somewhat my tie-in mention to the pizza pricing, in that the pricing isn't horrible, but it's still $80, and it's like, what am I going to do with it? I'm going to play it for under a minute, maybe a little more. I'm going to put it on the shelf, and then the built-in lithium battery is eventually going to die, leak, or swell and ruin it unless I go in there and extract the lithium battery, which am I gonna? Nah, probably not, because I actually want to play it, but I probably won't. So it's a pointless purchase. It's just pissing away money. So, but here's the thing about it, though. I almost want to get one just to see how it plays, because they're saying here, and this is Mega Man specific, right? You have 3 ways to play, okay? It says here, gameplay has been redesigned for intuitive touch interaction, because they don't have controls on the thing, right? So Mega Man auto runs through each stage while players time jumps and navigate hazards using simple touchscreen interface. So it sounds like you basically tap or double tap. So you like maybe double tap quickly to fire and then long tap to jump while it runs through. I don't know. Arcade mode, run through connected stages with increasing speed and difficulty while earning points. Okay. And it has some basic fitness tracking. Like, I was listening to some comedian the other day that was like, yeah, you got people running around. They're streaming every one of their biometrics like they're a fucking astronaut on the ISS all day. And it has some of those features that are, so I don't know. It's kind of cool, but I just can't pull the trigger on it. Just doesn't wow me.
So I'm into all these like automatic watches and stuff, and I have quite a bit of a collection here. Do you think it would be possible, from your sense and an engineering standpoint, that you would be able to use that automatic winding technology to power a power bank, or kind of like, those crank radios where you crank them up and stuff, and then it
Sure.
powers a power bank. Do you think it would be possible to make something like a Game and Watch that's powered by an automatic and not a lithium battery in there? It
It
wouldn't
would be
last as
damn
long, but
difficult. No, I mean,
Power
like what you
draw
would do,
would be.
the way I would build it. If you look at like a lot of the auto winding watches, there's they're mechanical, so it's like a one-way ratchet, and then there's a counter balanced weight. So
Yep.
basically, it's an offset weight. So as you move your wrist, once that thing just happens to go over another orientation, it'll wind like as if you were winding the spring through the stem. But if it goes the other way, it doesn't do anything because it gets caught on the ratchet. And there's other ways it's done. I'm not a watchmaker. I've just seen them. But um, so you could use maybe like a small captive metal ball, the piezo sensor. So every time it taps it sends a slight charge out. And then I would use like a very small supercapacitor and then basically continuously recharge that. But that's a lot of miniature electronics that cost way more and are way more sensitive than you know just the battery. And dude, they're looking to put this thing on the shelf as an impulse buy that looks cool, that someone will buy, play for 45 seconds, put on the shelf, and 5 years later realize, oh fuck, the battery in it's dead, and then it just is a permanent shelf article. And they already, as 80 Killings would say, I've already got your money, son.
Bro, but the watch community, like, people buy $1 million watches all the time. Like, if you made a Mario Brothers watch that was powered by an automatic capacitor or something, like, you could charge whatever. If you limited edition it, there are some asshole out there with enough money, doesn't give a shit, they would buy it. I got one here from Simon Morgan. Don't really remember Simon's name too much. So, Simon, thanks for sending that one in. Hey, RGR, got a new King of Kong universe update. Not Billy Mitchell, not Walter Day this time. Whew. It's Steve Wiebe, and he's written an autobiography and is serializing it in the form of a cinematic memoir, short YouTube videos, every episode a few days, which he reads aloud from a book with related videos. I went ahead and watched some of these. I'll have to say, Steve Wiebe, bro, you look like you're maybe doing some TRT or some peptides or something. Looking good for your age, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while, but look like you kind of like jacked up a little bit. And it looks like there's 7 or 8 episodes out right now. He's supposed to do 119 short videos. He's at number 7 right now, and man, these things have like 100. Some of them, the first one 400 views, all the other ones, 100 or sub 100. I have a hard time imagining he's going to put out all 119 unless he's
Yeah,
already done it.
it
They have
seems.
some good videos too, like good visuals. Like, there's some work that went into this. Like, this does not look like, he's just sitting in a corner reading it. Like, there's some graphics and some shit happening, some old videos and photos of him and stuff like that. So it's cool, but I don't know if the interest is out there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I'd rather give him, uh, $5 for the book and read it, rather than him put in a shitload of effort and getting fuck all back from advertising revenue on YouTube to read it out every day. But perhaps it's maybe it's like meditative approach as the process or something, cathartic.
Ironically, when I clicked on one, I got a Pizza Hut ad for a $9.99 pizza.
Well, there you go, a shitty pizza. Yeah, looks cool though. Like you say, yeah, he almost looks like he's doing much better than he did in the King of Kong, in terms of physically. Um, I've got one here from Peter Gibbs. I mentioned that I'm anxiously awaiting the arrival of my Superstation Mister based system, and this is a team called Mister Multisystem that do Jammer based Mister hardware, and it's their second kit that they've released. So it's basically a good slot in FPGA board, slot straight into a Jammer system. It gives you access to the full Mister ecosystem. So you not just arcade, but consoles and everything, and computers and stuff. It is $350, which seems like a lot, but it's definitely cheaper these days than actually building your own Mister, and certainly building it then with Jammer compatible I/O on it as well. So I'm sure it'll actually find a market if you want a.
Dave, you're running a Mister, right?
Not yet, no. I've got a analog pocket, and then I'm getting this Mister based system soon. But I've been running.
So what platforms does that run? The one that you're getting, the Mister that you're getting?
So it's the full Mister stuff. So it's, everything from basically every console up to and including they've got Saturn and N64 working on it now. Which everyone thought was going to be too much for the hardware, but it works.
Which one are you getting? Which Mister is it?
The Superstation 1.
Okay, I've liked these Mister back when that was Clay during the Chameleon days when that was Clay's, ongoing project. When it was very very much a experimental one that was not at all a ready for prime time, and it was cool then. So I'm glad to see it survived, and make an honest product that performs well will get you far in life sometimes.
Yeah, and then
So
computing, I was gonna say, yeah, it's like all the microcomputers and Atari ST and Amiga, but then even like credible 386 and 486 support, so you can make a pretty decent actual sort of DOS PC with them and things now. So yeah, it's a good platform that's managed to exceed far beyond like what people thought it was going to be able to do.
Well, and the price came way down with a lot of those things too, with some of the FPGAs they selected. So there's another one on the market here I'm going to bring up, and this was sent in by Peter Gibbs, and it says a new spin on handhelds. Oh, you clever boy, Peter! I see what you did there. So they have this thing called the Anbernic RG Rotate. Now, Anbernic makes a whole galaxy of these little handhelds and all. I picked one up last fall after seeing, in person the one that Ben and Mike had. I think maybe Random. Did you have one too?
I've got a couple. Yeah.
Yeah. They're super cheap, really effective, and they basically run the Raspberry Pi emulation package. So if you're used to running, say, RetroPie on a Raspberry Pi, the Anbernic is going to be identical in your experience. Basically, it's a Raspberry Pi functionally. It's a Raspberry Pi, a screen, a battery, and a case that is no bigger than the Game Boy Color, and it's just, or Game Boy Pocket. It's just a damn good deal, and there's nothing wrong with it. So they came out with this new one called the Rotate, and every picture of it and everything it shows just a screen, and it's about as thick as a Game Boy SP or a Game Boy Advance. And you're like, okay, well, how the hell where is it a touchscreen? And I read through like 4 or 5 articles, no mention of how to control, nothing. Then finally I found one photo that shows that there's a pivot point, and basically the screen swings kind of upward and to the left, revealing the 4 buttons and the start select. And it doesn't look like, because they're all set, it doesn't look like anything I'd want to play on. It looks very awkward, and I don't know.
I thought they looked a bit like the the GBA SP, like those kind of.
It does, but have you seen the photo of the thing? It does, but have you seen the photo of the screen swung up to reveal the buttons?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, so your thumb is going to be right there on the buttons, unless it swings up further. But there's no photos or descriptions I found. But I don't know. It just looks very, very kind of awkwardly weird.
It would be a bit cramped, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. It looks. Yeah, but you know what? Maybe it ships and people like it and it's good. But I think if it follows Anbernics, I mean the software load that ships the Anbernic is pure garbage. But if it's as malleable and adaptable as the other Anbernics, you can see
So
some good stuff.
it's in a weird one. So I watched some reviews of it, and it's running Android, because a lot of their hardware now they've got to a base performance level where they might as well just run Android on there. But so there's still loads of customization you can do, but weirdly they've opted to put in a processor that's like powerful enough to do Dreamcast, GameCube, some PS2. Yet you've got a D-pad, 4-face buttons, and then like L and R buttons hidden on the back, but like no analog sticks or anything like that. And there's like a special key combination you press to turn the D-pad into like basically the analog stick input. If you want to play Dreamcast, and it only works with analog stick. But it seems very odd that for what you would think would be primarily a 8-bit and 16-bit system, maybe PlayStation 1, some of that stuff, and Saturn. But it's got the horsepower to do far more, which seems a bit of a waste. I don't know, very strange. But
Well,
they like show it as like being like an
you
MP.
won't run the software it ships with anyway because it'll be trash, and somebody will come out with a really nice software package within like a week.
And it shows them like it's kind of cool. You can close it and use it as like an MP3 player, except that they didn't put a headphone jack on it, so you have to like then have a USB-C adapter and stuff like that. And it's a few weird decisions with it. And speaking of weird decisions, one here also from Peter Gibbs. He says a new kind of cubism, and this is a company called Krasivo, who have made a Switch 1 and 2 dock that looks like a GameCube, where if you cut it off just a bit inside from the handle on the back, and then put a Switch dock on there, which I don't know, seems an odd decision. I think it's the GameCube ports work as like a built-in thing, so because at least the Switch 1 supported USB GameCube port cartridge joypad adapters, but you're essentially taking what is a fairly slim Switch dock and turning it into a big, huge chunk of plastic, which takes up a lot more space. Seems a bit weird. But hey, if you really like the aesthetics of the GameCube, maybe that's for you, perhaps.
Well, we have got a lot of news remaining here, so I'm going to double up on a couple of simple stories and cut the list down just a tad so we don't run too long on news. First one I got here is a digital pictures documentary. It's a YouTube video that David Geirich sent in. He says, fascinating documentary, not just about digital pictures, but about the entire FMV game industry that fell as quickly as it rose. And so he's got a link. Links will be in the show note. It's an hour and 11 minutes. And just kind of skipping through it, it looks like it has a lot of footage. But footage, a lot of stuff that I haven't seen, like sort of how they blocked out the shots. And actually, this might be interesting for you, Rando. Just the way they show like how they developed the camera angles and the shots, and how they dealt with the resolution available, with the video and all that. So looks pretty good. I will absolutely give that a watch here. Next one up is the story of Metal Slug. David Geirich sent this in, and it says, looks like a good read for Metal Slug fans. I am a Metal Slug fan.
I'm a Metal Slug fan.
I'm
a Metal Slug fan.
Yeah.
What, Dave? Did you dissent?
No, I said I'm a Metal Slug fan, definitely.
Oh, okay. I thought you said I'm not a Metal Slug fan. I'm like, well, that's unique. But I got a Neo Geo. I absolutely love Metal Slug. It feels like even better on that cabinet. So
Marcos.
This thing is no joke. This is like a mini book. They've got screenshots, maps, drawings, notes. It is an extensive read. Link in the show notes as always. I highly recommend giving this one a...
Let me jump in one real quick here, which I think is like a bit of like weirdo tech news kind of thing. This one was sent in by Gareth Hamer. So your old film camera can now shoot 4K, 26 megapixel RAW files without any modifications. Here's how Yanko designed. So this is like like one of the weirdest things that I can think of. Um, this can fit into your old Canon AE1, your old Pentax K1000, a number of old cameras, Olympus, Minoltas, Nikons, Lycias, Pentax, Canon. It's a Sony sensor, an IMX 571 26.1 megapixel APS-C sensor that can fit into your like where the film goes. And this thing looks like a piece of film, but it fits in there, and there's a sensor and it plugs in, and then you could use your old ass cameras to then shoot 4K. Now, the memory is a little bit limited. I think that would be the one caveat as I kind of read through this thing, but drop it in that old Fuji film or something. I mean, so if you have, I mean, guy, you go to swap meets and you just see piles of old cameras, and they have like cool glass to them, but they just, like, what are you going to do with them anymore? You're not going to do film and stuff like that. Well, now you can kind of revive these things. You're looking anywhere from like 500 to maybe $700 to fit one of these things in there.
Hence, my question hand just went up for random here because I guess he'd be the guy that would know this out of us. So I've seen these things out now for a couple of years, and it'll be like different formats. Like some of it has like the in the shape of a 35 millimeter film cartridge, and it'll have like two slender wire arms and then the CCD sensor, right? So I did a little like back of the napkin engineering math. Okay, a sensor that big is about a $30 component, a little processor and all that. Okay, you're going to put one of these out there. You're talking about what should be maybe $100 build. All right, so you're going to want to make money off of it, distributors, all that. So you're going to sell this for $200. I mean, you can buy a digital camera for that. But okay, it's a novelty, maybe $210. I look at it, $890. The fuck? I mean, is it just a cash grab for photographer types?
I do think part of it's that. I mean, you're talking about like low volume manufacturing of some weird shit. I mean, well, these Sony sensors, they will sell you or anyone, pallets of, or trays of them.
Oh yeah.
For not as bad. So you just buy them, and then you're adapting like the other parts to, to adapt to other cameras as needed. But it's, you still, everything else is still sort of.
A 35 millimeter cartridge. That's a one-time deal. Every camera that uses 35 millimeter film can utilize that.
I mean, in theory, yeah, you could potentially make something compatible with every camera. But I mean, I think it is just because like Spiker was saying, cameras are dirt cheap, but certainly here they were really, really, really cheap like 20 years ago, and then now I look at the prices of old cameras and like they've gone up shitloads because they sort of got trendy again.
I'll say this: I have a Sony A7R III that I bought about 10 years ago. That shoots it 4K, and it also has camera raw and everything else. I just got for work, got approved. I was using kind of my own camera, and I was like, look, guys, I can't use my personal camera anymore. You want to use a camera, we got to buy one here. So I got the A7R5, and how sharp that thing is. I mean, it's ridiculous with the stacked focus, stacked bracketing and everything. It's shooting 64 megapixel images and stuff. And I mean, it's like burn your fucking retinas. Like it is so far advanced, just 3 generations of what Sony has done with that sensor. I mean, it's incredible. It really is. I mean,
so one thing I'll absolutely give like people like Sparkle and Rando credit for is there is such a thing as a photographer. I firmly believe this. and the equipment doesn't make the photo. And it's really kind of funny because
It's half of
depends
it.
on the
It's half of
depends
it.
on the use case
Yeah,
for
yeah.
it.
There's a
okay, well,
technical.
I know this much. At the end of the day, you've got it's just a camera, it's pointed in a direction, and a button is pressed. Okay, that is what's happening. However, I bought it was like 10 years ago. Like Costco had a really, you know, it wasn't a shit Nikon. It was a really nice Nikon with a lot of the accessories and stuff all in one package. Right? I thought, I'll get one of these, and you know, and the camera is fine. I mean, that specific model. My trainer's wife is a photographer, and she has one of these. She goes, "That's a really nice camera. You're gonna love that. You can do this, this, and this." And she's showing me like all these. She goes, "That's my mobile camera for weddings." It's like that's a really good one. You're gonna love it. And you look at every photo I took, it was no better than what I take on my phone. And if you look at the photos I take on my phone, they're just photos. So you could give me a commodity, Pixel flip phone, or you can give me this, multi-$1,000 tremendous Sony camera. I will produce the same mediocre result no matter what. And I have seen photographers take equipment of any description and produce fantastically composed photos. So, it's not just the gear, it's the guy.
I would say
whatever.
composition is the artistic point of it, and
I like that.
there's a technical component to it, and what you're trying to achieve, and understanding how the shutter speed, the ISO, the f-stop, and how these things work in conjunction with one another, and what you're trying to do, and if you're trying to composite something, if you want bokeh or if you want the entire thing sharp, there's like post-production that goes into it, and like I said, stack focusing, stack bracketing, and some other components to it. So I would say it's probably 60% technical understanding of how to use the equipment. There's some art involved
and
in
intuition.
it, but yeah, understanding what the limitations of your hardware are from the camera equipment that you have, the lens, the glass, and everything else, and how these things work with one another. But to me, it's more technical and knowledge understanding than it necessarily is always composition and just, oh, I'm a good photographer and I can have a piece of shit camera and take a great photo. Maybe, depending on what you're trying to achieve with that piece of equipment. I mean, I had an oatmeal container with a piece of fucking photo paper in there, and you lifted a flap with a pinhole, and I took a picture of a bridge and shit like that back in the when I was in high school. And
yeah, I think we did the same thing or something.
You could do that, yeah. But I mean, having the better camera and like everything, and like my knowledge and understanding of photography and what I'm trying to do with the subject matter, and understanding how certain things work with composition and lighting and things like that. Random, I'll let you weigh into it, but I think it's a little bit more on the technical side than the artistic side.
Yeah, and for me, yeah, it's a blend of both. And like I grew up very early with like full manual cameras, and so got a very good grasp of the technical aspects of it, and that's never been a problem. It's always I sort of fall into feeling like the creativity side of it. It's not even so much like my composition I'm happy with and things like that. It's just the creative like idea side of it, and finding like something that's actually an interesting subject in the first place, rather than just trying to think. And and to a degree, there's like when I left uni and I was working for a wedding photographer, well, all sorts of photography, but like he was using like at the very early digital SLRs, not great, well, terrible quality by today's standards in terms of sensors, but still able to do very good like really large format prints with it. And there is a point where you certainly for me anyway, like there's no need to go to the sort of the anything beyond the last 8 years, newer than 8 years, in terms of like camera technology.
I don't know, man. You saw this new
because there is for some people, like if you're doing like professional work, like product photography, fashion photography, and things like that. Yes, definitely it can help. But like for what I do, there's no great need for me to go any further than, I mean, I've got a 6D as my main camera. That's like pretty ancient now, but it's just it's more than what I need for what I need to do. And I always sort of fall into this thing of like, oh well, maybe if I had a more modern camera, I'd be inclined to go out more and do this and that. I wouldn't. I just need to focus on the fundamentals, and often I'll go back and use older shit. Just because.
Well, I just abandoned the idea of owning a digital camera whatsoever because it's utterly wasted on a gorilla like me. So
yeah,
I just use my fucking phone.
There is no advantage to them having.
I can't tell you how many video or how many volleyball tournaments that I've gone to. Go to Seattle, Boston, Philadelphia, Florida, right? And like I have a big 7200 f2.8 G Master 2 that I take. So, so the photographers out there will know what I'm shooting with, kind of thing. And I can get nice up and personal, and it's kind of a sniper lens, so I can sit back a bit and kind of take some nice shots. Indoor lighting is really tough with sports photography, so you got to shoot super fast so you're not getting blurry stuff. And I
tell you, the most creative photographers in all sports are those dudes that shoot girls' beach volleyball for like college beach volleyball. They dig a fucking trench to get that up the thigh shot with the fucking camera. They're in like they're probably buried like up to here in sand just so they can get that shot. But God bless them. So I got two here. One from who sent it? David Gyrich, the Lost Lynx game found. And it is called Monster Demolition for the Atari Lynx. I think we're going to see more of these in the future, not less, because, you get more and more people that, find these games on old media. They have them on computers.
Lynx, come on.
Dude, I don't mean just for the Lynx. I mean for any system, okay? What I think is going to happen is there used to be, I know a couple people that have unfinished games, people that we've worked with on the show, names you would know. And I don't want to throw anybody on the spot, although I actually have one of theirs right here. Now, sorry, it's up on another shelf. But anyway, that there is a fear of releasing some of these games because the, rights holder, not the actual rights holder, like the company's freaking gone. Some dude that bought like the rights to
Eco Interactive.
Some asshole like that is going to come along and throw a lawsuit in your face if you release a game that they had nothing to do with. So anyway, I think that fear is starting to fade and people are like willing to release things that they've been hanging on to. So I see it as a possibility. Now, the other one up here, we kind of had this discussion earlier.
This game, by the way, looks like an awful version of Rampage where you're destroying houses in a neighborhood.
That's a very amped. It's an awful version of Rampage.
Yeah.
But it is an unreleased game, and that is a thing because there are good ones out there too. Some games, there's probably a reason they were unreleased. And a lot of games that have been released, I think, should have been unreleased games, never to be found again. So got this one here also from David Gyrich, and he says, our console's too expensive now. $599 almost killed Sony, but now it's the baseline. Look, I look at it like my wife was asking me the other week, why the hell are these tablets so expensive, right? I was like, because it's all the expensive bits of a modern laptop with a $5 USB keyboard removed. I mean, you look at like a full size, like that new Apple, whatever their King of the Hill iPad is now, right? That thing is an Apple laptop just without the keyboard. So how much cheaper is it going to be than a laptop? Not much, right? So I totally get why they cost so much. And if you look at I know what it costs, like as many of us do, to put together, say, a gaming PC, right? And now you're going to fucking put together a gaming PC just in a more compact form factor, and you're going to ship it out the door. So the gaming PC costs $1,200, and this thing costs $600. Holy shit, I'm amazed they could do it for that price. I don't have a heartache with that. What I have a heartache with is you're going to do that, and then you're going to release 3 average games over the course of a year. That's the problem. So,
But like, yeah, in terms of gaming, I mean, like, yes, Death Stranding 2 looks fucking gorgeous, but ultimately, do you feel there's anything that you couldn't have experienced on the PS4?
yeah, actually, I'll defend that by saying this. My reaction in that first opening hour, where you're running across the goddamn mountain with a screaming baby, was finally somebody utilized what the PS5 can do, because every other game so far has been PS4, but also released on the PS5. Nobody has been trying to squeeze the PS5. And when I saw the look of the terrain, the rocks, the depth of resolution, I said to myself, somebody utilized what the PS5 can do 5-6 years into its manufacturing lifespan. Bravo, industry. But that said, I thought it looked. I thought, yeah, but that's one of the few games that I felt have done
just
that.
visuals aside, though, sort of almost going back to like camera technology and does it matter versus the composition, like dropping it down to 1080 versus it's about 1440 or it's not quite 4K on PS5, but like other than it looking sharper and a bit and a bit more detailed, is it much different in terms of a game? Like the composition of it, is it actually that much different? And is this a problem that you've got these more powerful tools, but the game developers aren't doing anything more creative and more no one's using the extra. They've got vastly more CPU horsepower than the jump in CPU horsepower from PS4 to PS5 is much bigger than the GPU power. And
completely unutilized.
They'll do mega great physics and all sorts of interactivity, and no one uses it for anything. It's just it's because Unreal takes up all of the CPU performance, so they don't have a chance to do it.
Well, also, unless there's a button that says optimize for PS5, they're not fucking bothered with it, because they've been told, get this fucking game out now. And since the PS4 is still in the market, make it work on both. And by the way, you're not getting paid overtime for the next 6 months. Click. So, the hell of them. Got a real interesting piece of hardware, though. Now, this is a great story I absolutely love. And it's from Peter Gibbs, and it's about the Brazilian. And everybody loves a good Brazilian. But what they've done is they're doing an FPGA implementation of the unreleased Sega Neptune system. Now, that's pretty cool. Now, it's not exactly exotic. I mean, the system, as they state correctly here, was the Genesis and the 32X in a single platform, right? So basically, it was a one, box solution to the Tower of Power, right? So it's not anything you can't already do. But yeah, it's been running on the Mister. So if you have a Mister, this wouldn't be really a thing because you can already do that. But
you can't
have a neat
use
novelty.
the cartridges if you're doing it on the Mister. You might want a specific. I can put my Mega Drive and 32X cartridges into a standalone system. That might be of appeal to a number of people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see it.
Okay, UK sent in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Craigslist stories back to back. So I feel like we've only done one of them with his drunk girl sex. I feel like we owe it to him to read at least one more. I'm gonna read the names of these titles, and then we can just kind of vote as a group what we're gonna end it out as. So, The Red Coat Girl, Super Mario Sex, No iPhone, or To the Guy Doing My Wife. Which one you want to do?
Are they all the same story? Because I feel like they could be.
No.
I think that last one could have been Mike's from about 15 years ago.
Oh,
wow. Too soon.
Oh.
I mean, I'd vote for Super Mario Sex just for the.
I think so. It's a game themed show, right?
At the end, you yell, "It's a me, Mario!"
Yeah. All right, so here we go. Super Mario sex. I know this is fucking weird, but what is Craigslist if not for freaky ass sex fantasies? I want to fuck Super Mario. I want a guy to wear overalls, a red shirt, a hat, and to fuck me hard while occasionally saying the catchphrase "Let's a go" and "Mamma Mia." I guess look the part would be even wicked if you had dark hair. You have to leave your costume on during the whole encounter. If you're really into it, I can wear a pink dress and pretend to be Princess Peach. Any takers for my weird fetish?
I
I'll be
like that she's willing to step up to the game and contribute at equal level. If you really insist, I'll dress as Peach.
I'll be in Ottawa this weekend. Woohoo! So yeah,
I just had the worst thought of like, all right, so it's Ottawa, so you got all those rape gangs up there. Some dude busting in dressed up as Bowser.
well, clearly this is like a trans man.
I don't know if I clearly picked that one up from the description. I didn't have a photo in front of me.
It was all in under case. There was like some spelling errors and stuff, which just leads me to believe it's like some goon, that like it didn't pass geometry in 8th grade or something, and is working at a gas station. But it's just my assessment.
Well, I got a great video here that Dave Lanky sent in, and it was a video from inside the Heathkit factory. It's actually like a mini documentary on Heathkit. And I would suggest, I've got to do a hardware flashback just on Heathkit. And I would really, really suggest any of our listeners watch this video. Heathkit started right after World War II. And so, World War II, the supply of equipment the supply chain in the U.S. was so massive that the minute the war ended, they canceled all contracts because the sheer amount of money. And they had, you can imagine, every aircraft, every ship, every radio, every piece of equipment, canteens, tents, you name it. Every piece of military equipment that was being manufactured suddenly slammed to a halt. Also, because the innovations that had happened and the innovations that were coming up in just a few years, all that equipment was obsolete as fuck overnight. So what you had was let's say the Army had like an oscilloscope and they were making tubes for the oscilloscope. And because they needed every radio van had to have an oscilloscope, they made, 30,000 of these tubes, right? Well, the war ended. Now you got 15,000 unsold tubes, right? So what Heathkit did, their first product was an oscilloscope. They went out, they bought just scads of tubes, and they put together a kit. So you got the image tube, the probe, the tubes to make up the circuitry for the amplifiers, and they sold you a kit oscilloscope. So something that was just a government level piece of equipment that you could not fathom being able to afford. You could buy the kit for $19. So Heathkit went on to become the most amazing American company, and they were innovative. They made I have a ton of Heathkit ham radio equipment, and anything that could be done, especially in the 60s, they did hi-fi stereos for okay, so a stereo, just a 2-channel record player, AM/FM radio, open reel cassette was the equivalent of buying the most advanced surround sound system today for an incredible amount of money. And here comes Heathkit and says, okay, here's a kit one for 1/4 of the price. And it was wonderful because their kits were designed to be built sort of self-tested. So to build a Heathkit TV, you would build, say, the power supply and then the horizontal amplifier. So you would align and calibrate the horizontal amplifier, using the different voltages that it output, generated from the power supply. So then once you had that done, you would build, say, the tube heater circuitry, and then you would build the vertical amplifier and so forth. And you would build and build and build and test until you arrived at the working product at the end that needed nothing more than a multimeter and its own electronics to self-assemble and self-test. So they ended up building computers, robots, the very famous, Hero 1 robot, Hero Junior robot, all those wonderful kits they built. And then the world just changed and people stopped doing stuff like that. And they also had some internal issues and they just fell apart and the company ended. But it's a tremendous story. I highly recommend watching it to any of our listeners that have ever enjoyed the Heathkit world at all. Or if you've not heard of it, you like what? They used to have kit TVs? Yes. And they were a viable, practical, economic. So in some ways, like I said, people stopped having interest in building their own TV, but also at the same time, when a TV went from a insane capital expense that building a kit one for a quarter of the price was worth the effort, now you could buy one cheaper than you could buy the multimeter to build the kit one with. Well, okay, there was reason for that too. So damn shame. No, I loved everything they did.
Yeah, I thought you'd probably like that. I just want to hit one quickly before we finish that I sent in earlier today, spotted, and this is a new text adventure called The Morning Star, which is like a dark fantasy adventure. Interesting because it's available for MSX, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, ZX Spectrum, the Commodore Amiga, and the Atari ST. It's available for $2 from itch. And if you buy it before the end of the year, they will also give you Echoes of the Future, which was an earlier title they did, which is also usually £2 or $2, which is like a sci-fi time travel text adventure. That one's available on all of those platforms, plus like DOS and GBA and all sorts. You also get like a diary, which is a narrative walkthrough of the adventure, but it looks, screenshots of it obviously vary platform to platform, but it looks like it's got some nice art. Could be an interesting story, and it's a couple of bucks for an interesting sounding text adventure.
So will this just work on an emulator?
Yeah, it should do.
Okay.
You just get tape or disc files.
I think the Commodore. I can't tell if the Commodore or the MSX looks better.
You would need, I think, say on the page that it uses normal like north, controls, as in like going north and stuff like that. So I don't know whether you would need a keyboard in terms of. You wouldn't want to do it necessarily on a handheld emulator because you'd be not having
banging my head.
A type virtual keyboard thing. But a laptop, would obviously be an ideal way to play it. Probably.
And with that, I think it's a wrap for this month.
It do be. So, listeners, that was our May news, and glad to have you all on board. Mike should be back from assignment next month, and we'll have the full show out for you here by the end of the month, and we will talk to you all soon.
Yeah, a couple we didn't get to. Thanks. Keep sending them in, guys. Some months we just can't get to everything. Some months are bigger than others. We'll make sure that we try to get these into get them into the rotation next month. All right. Say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.